right, here we go. We're live streaming. No more complaining about technology, radiating positivity and personal mastery. That's what we're here to do.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Staying Sane podcast, and we are live. I'm here with Cassandra McLean, who is a hypnotherapist operating out of the United States, and soon perhaps internationally. And I'm myself, Albert Nurnberg, also a hypnotherapist and hypnotist. And today we have a really interesting topic because this is a question that we both get a lot, which is what kind of people do hypnotherapy? What are the kind of people that do hypnotherapy? Because a lot of people maybe don't do hypnotherapy, they wonder what kind of people do. And well, people who do hypnotherapy are probably wondering what other kinds of people do hypnotherapy as well. So it's a really kind of interesting subject. So maybe I'll throw. I have a take on this, but I'll throw it because I've been talking for a while. I'll throw it to you first. What kind of people do hypnotherapy, in your professional opinion?
Great. So today what we want to do is lay out a few fun categories. This is one type of person that we might attract. This is another type of person we might attract. Now, I want to be very clear that hypnotherapy is a therapy for the people. The real answer, if the question was, who responds well to hypnotherapy? That answer is everybody. But because it's still in the day and time that this is being recorded, a bit fringe, we tend to attract certain people who have the openness, the open-mindedness to explore things that may be considered, according to the mainstream, a bit fringe. So that would be, I think, a place where we can start to look. We want to acknowledge with gratitude that open-mindedness is a quality that people have that bring them into our offices.
By the way, can you explain that hypnotherapy is for the people? It's like a people's therapy. It's something I've heard people say, but I'm curious about your take on why it is the people's therapy, so to speak.
Sure. So that's actually a quote from Gil Boyne, one of the grandfathers of our industry, of our profession, the great Gil Boyne. He would say that hypnotherapy is a therapy for the people. And what he meant by that is exactly what I intended with mentioning it, is that it's for everyone. It's not just for, if you have, for example, if you have borderline personality disorder, the world of psychology will go, oh, okay, we prescribe DBT for that, dialectical behavioral therapy. DBT is like, this person, if you're a psychologist, which we are not. If you're a psychologist working in this space where you do an assessment and you get a diagnosis, and then according to this diagnosis and the governing bodies of this profession, we want to use this particular prescribed methodology of therapy called DBT, or we use CBT for blah blah blah. And it's like, when you have this problem, we go to this. Hypnotherapy it's for everybody, for everything. Just come on in and get it. Let's rock and roll.
It's basically mic therapy. No, I'm joking. But okay, so let me throw out sort of some examples and from my experience of the kind of people that do hypnotherapy. And it is first of all very varied, but it is interesting to know why people come in or call you or contact you to do this. And what's intriguing is, I would say, first of all, you often get people who are at wit's end. That is a very common client, people that have tried everything. And it also explains something interesting too, which is that people who do therapy are often people who feel like, I am really at the end. If I don't solve this problem, and it's not always a life and death thing. It can be sometimes people feel that a problem has been tormenting them for decades and they've just never gotten anywhere. And if they don't solve it now, they never will. Then that's a very common kind of hypnotherapy client. The second kind, I would say, is the fascinated. There is a really sizable clientele of people who are just, I'm fascinated by hypnosis. I want to experience it. I want to learn about it. I want to maybe even train in it, but they're just fascinated by the experience. And I often point out to people, what's interesting about that is that hypnosis itself is generated by fascination. Fascination is itself hypnotic. So if you are fascinated by hypnosis, you are having a hypnotic experience right there.
Nice. I like that. I love anything that's meta. As you know, right before we got on this call, I had a client who is the fascinated client, who said, okay, last week I did a session with a different hypnotherapist, and the week before that I did a session with a different hypnotherapist. And I'm just really want to see like what different practitioners offer and your different styles. And I'm learning and I'm reading this. And my real goal is to master self hypnosis and to be able to work on myself. And I'm like, I love this. Yes,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
we love that, right? If I
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
tennis coach,
Yes.
who would I really love to coach tennis? Is the young person who's already got like a ripped bod and was like, I was champion of my high school. It's like, friggin', let's work together. But I also love to work with the people who I really love to work with anybody who gives me the privilege and honor of working with them. Um, the wits end client, it this client brings a lot of compassion from me, and it's also a big motivator for me because, as you know, in this career I'm committed to bringing hypnosis and hypnotherapy to the mainstream because the wits end client, we need to turn that around. The wits end client is a person who says, I've done regular therapy, I did this, I did Reiki, I go get massages, I talked to my pastor, I went to confession, I changed my diet, I did this and this and this, and I still have this problem. And I guess I'll come and try the hypnotist thing. And the reason it brings compassion and motivation out of me is because we got to turn that around. As soon as you're ready to solve a problem, just go to the place where you're going to get it solved. You don't have to take a 5 to 10 year journey of frustrating and
Yes.
disappointing results. You can just
Yes.
come to us right away. And
Yep.
once you've reached your wits end and you go to the hypnotherapist, give me a
Cut to
couple
the chase.
3
Just
to
do it.
6 sessions. Let's get this. Let's move on with your life.
It is
And
really, no, what you're saying is really true. And another example of the exact same phenomenon is people have done tons of talk therapy, and they've done years and years of talk therapy, and they feel like it hasn't really done that much for them. And so then they go to the hypnotist or the hypnotherapist. Now, here's the crazy thing. When somebody comes to me and they have done a lot of talk therapy, they often are a little bit apologetic, or they can be, and they say, even though I've done all this talk therapy, I haven't really, it doesn't help me with the issue I'm bringing to you.
mm,
And I'm like, ooh, quite the contrary. That talk therapy applied with hypnotherapy actually is often a beautiful situation, not for the reason that is maybe intended, but because talk therapy has allowed people to sort of find words and figure out the nature of their problem. Now they arrive and they've got a whole bunch of things figured out. And to me, hypnotherapy is an action medium. Oh, hey, action, yeah, it's an action medium. So I've got, well, okay, we've figured out the theory. Now let's just take action.
right,
So
I
it's very
agree.
complementary.
Talk therapists and psychologists can do really good work for us in paving the way for the hypnotherapeutic intervention to drop right in and like really, because the wheels have been greased. As we say in NLP, awareness precedes change. So one thing that is for sure clear most of the time with what type of person does hypnotherapy, and you know that you have a problem and you pretty much know what it is. My problem is I have insomnia. My problem is I'm overweight and I keep dieting, but I stay overweight. My problem is I can't quit smoking. My problem is I am so angry all the time and I'm ruining all my relationships because I'm just having angry outbursts and road rage, and it's really interrupting my happiness and the happiness of the people I care about. It's very clear what the problem is usually. Well, people don't sign up until they're like, I'm coming to you for this. Usually. Um with the talk therapy route, sometimes people are like, yeah, I'm not doing so well, but I don't really know why or what needs to change or how. And now this is why the talk therapy only goes so far. I have a friend, I love her to death, and she's super into her therapist, and great. I'm happy for her. And but she'll get into a problem and she'll be like, but I know why I'm like this. It's like, cool. It's good to know why, but if knowing why doesn't lead you into a different state of being or a different behavior or a different response, it's minimally valuable. It's valuable to know, well, I'm like this because of these reasons. But what we're doing in hypnosis and hypnotherapy is not just, I know why I'm like this. It's
It's
action. It's
action.
art. Are you ready to be different now?
Yeah.
I'm like this and I know why is different from I'm like this and I'm ready to be a different way.
That's I totally know what you're talking about. And I was going to give another example. This is also common, is people that are in the throes of a kind of either anxiety. They're in a condition, they're suffering. They often have like a form of stress, anxiety, or worry that is overwhelming. And you know what's interesting? This is, to me, has been amazing. This is one of the most miraculous parts about doing hypnotherapy, but also experiencing it, is that some people, if they come to you with major, kind of anxious state, let's just say, I'm not saying they have a condition, but they have an anxious state. If that person is able to go into trance, they get instant relief. Instant. Now, I'm not talking about permanent relief, but they get instant relief in the sense that trance is a pretty solid thing. If a person goes into a particular trance, they are calm, they are relaxed, their nervous system's in the parasympathetic, they just feel good. And so sometimes one reason to do hypnotherapy is to get instant relief. And that gives you a little bit of space to start. Because once your nervous system has a taste of that, you kind of go, how can I get more of this? And it's very doable, often through exercise, self-hypnosis, and there's many tactics that will get you there. So the point is, it's not like a McDonald's kind of relief. It's the first step in a journey towards true healing. Um, and that's one of the dramatic things that can happen in a hypnotherapy session that that if if somebody's feeling that, you should consider.
Sure. Um, a highly wound, I just need relief from the throes of my own mind person is really fun to work with. And because once you start to access that you are, in fact, capable of being profoundly relaxed and calm within, there's an instant awareness of how much better all of life can be when
Yes,
you operate from this place.
yes,
Even if you
yes,
only get it for a few minutes here and there to
yeah.
start, you were like, wait a minute, I could live like this. And then your hypnotherapist, if they're any good, is going to say, yes, you can live like this. You can choose to bake in at the level of your subconscious, the level of your values and your beliefs about who you are, the deepest level of what makes you you and what makes your life the way that it is. We can choose to program it, just the buzzword that people love, program your mind, that you can program it in, that you operate from a place of mental calm and clarity and emotional balance. And you get that more and you get that more and you get that more. And then you can be like me. I used to be a friggin' maniac. And now I've had multiple people tell me you're like the most peaceful person I know.
Really?
Yes. You
Should
know
get
who
a
told me that?
medal.
It's actually, this is really an accolade. It's my former downstairs neighbor. So if anybody was gonna know if I was up here like raging and banging on shit, it would be that guy.
Yeah,
And he told me, he was like, "You're the most peaceful person I
yeah.
know."
Okay, so another kind of common client, of course, are people that are pursuing a very specific issue, like an addiction,
Mm-hmm. Weight
and
loss.
weight loss. And there, I think you have to be realistic in the sense that although hypnotherapy can help change the way you feel about things very quickly. So, for example, you're addicted to a substance that you is hurting your life. Yeah, hypnotherapy can change your feelings about that almost instantly. But I don't want to. I'm not ready to say, though some hypnotherapists say this, that you can instantly cure an addiction in 1 or 2 sessions.
It's very
It's
dangerous and it
yeah,
shouldn't be done.
it's kind of false hope.
It's
So
very it's not just false hope, it's dangerous. When I was in my training, we were educated on the dangers of this with real life stories of people who died because I think I don't remember the exact details. Let's say that this client was an alcoholic. I don't know if it was an alcohol thing or if it was a whatever thing, cocaine, it could have been anything. They had an addiction problem. And a hypnotherapist, I can absolutely help you with that. And then she did. She very quickly made that, if it was alcohol, it was disgusting. It was revolting. He was not interested in it at all. And within 6 months, he died of a heroin overdose because the psychological mechanism of internal pain and beliefs about self, the self, let's say self-limiting beliefs are one thing. Then you have self-destructive, self-sabotaging beliefs and behaviors. If that's not being resolved, really, really acknowledged and honored and dealt with appropriately, and it's just, no, you don't like cigarettes anymore, you don't like alcohol anymore, that system is going to find something else to get that relief from. And that something else can be something much worse. So I'm very cautious around dealing with people who have addictions. I really need to understand what's going on with how they got addicted to what they're addicted to and what's the story and what's underlying that self-destructive behavior.
Hmm. Yeah, that's I think a complicated one. What about weight loss?
Weight loss is a wonderful type of client. As we all know, hypnosis is phenomenal for weight loss. It's like, that's our bread and butter, right? Quit smoking, lose weight. That's the bread and butter of a hypnotherapy practice if you lean in.
You know what's interesting too is that I think people think, and I, that when a hypnotherapist, there, it works on a few levels. You are trying to change internal programs, which change behavior, which makes you a person that more likely to lose weight. But as well, part of your job as a hypnotherapist is to realistically help a person look at their patterns. I will never forget that I somebody came to me and said, like, I just can't lose weight. I do all the things. I exercise like mad. I don't lose any weight. And so all we did is we sort of went, well, what's your morning like? What's your day like? And it turns out that she was somebody who drank a lot of coffee and religiously always had three sugars in every coffee. And I was like, bingo, there is no way that you're going to lose weight, no matter essentially what you do, when you're pouring three sugars into every coffee and you drink coffee all day. And so you might not think that's hypnotherapy, but that is hypnotherapy, which is that we have to sort of figure out what is the problem pattern and how do we change it, and what are the real issues. What is stopping you from losing weight?
Yes, there's always the discovery conversation where we have to do a little digging. Where is this a problem for you? When is this a problem for you? Around whom is this a problem for you? I'm always great until I'm around my mother, and then I'm a raging psychopath. Okay, so the issue has its context, and we do speak to people at length in what we call the pre-talk about, well, I need to understand really, like, what is the nature of this. I'm fat and I want to be skinny. All right, close your eyes, sleep. You're now thin. It it's almost that good, but we do need to do a bit more work. And as you say, it's all in the world of hypnotherapy. A good hypnotherapist is not just going to say, all right, hi, what's your name? Okay, cool, what's your issue? All right, close your eyes and listen to my voice, and you now don't have that problem anymore. I've been scammed by somebody like this in the past, and she really sold her. She was just a really good grifter, but she wasn't doing real hypnotherapy. I felt like she didn't even know my name.
Mm.
For me, rapport is essential, and feeling cared about is essential. And when we're on this topic that we're here discussing today, what kind of people do hypnotherapy? There is um there is an attraction that people feel like, I know that my conscious mind is not resolving my problems. I've had them for too long. I've thought about it. I've talked about it. I've done all these things. My conscious mind can't get me there. I have to go deeper. And yet, though they'll now, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to try something new. There's this like fear barrier of, if I go into hypnosis, is it like a truth serum? You can make me say anything, make me do anything. And first of all, no, and I wouldn't. But beyond the simple answer of no, I can't make you say anything or do anything, and I won't even try. But beyond that, what I like to have my clients feel with me is really understanding, truthfully, trusting, because it's the reality. You can tell me anything, and I'm just here to help you.
By the
You
way,
can say that unspeakable thing. I'm only here to guide you to the other side of it.
we should mention here, though, that by definition, or most hypnotherapists, obviously, I do and you do, believe in confidentiality, that what you say in a therapy session is confidential. And that's part of it. You have to know that you're safe to say what you feel without it's not going to come out. Um, so yeah, that's just a standard thing. There are a few other standard things too. I think the reason why you mentioned it was called people's therapy, I think, is that the context of hypnotherapy is that we are regular, to a certain extent. We're not positioning ourselves as super scientists of the mind, though some people might be that. We are positioning ourselves as people who have faced or some of the things that everybody faces. So anxiety, depression, weight gain, all these things are sort of are fairly common challenges. And the hypnotherapist, it's not that the hypnotherapist needs to have experienced that, but they come from a place of these are common problems, and
Mm.
and this also the solutions are common as well. Um, so, it's funny. I was going to mention another kind of client. Generally, I find a lot of people are nervous about, of course, about the expense, the perception that it's going to cost a lot. And what's interesting is that hypnotherapy is a bargain medium. What I often say to people is that people don't look at the math. Or they don't tend to look at the math, which by that I mean they don't go, sorry, I have this problem. How much is it going to cost me to solve it with standard talk therapy? Oh, it might be 10 months or two
You're not
years.
even going to solve it with standard talk therapy. Let's just,
You may
you
not
can't
solve it.
improve it.
Yeah. But imagine the cost. And then hypnotherapy, the solutions are often extremely rapid by comparison. We're talking
I
three.
can't, but I won't even compare. I won't say let's compare this to the talk therapy because I think that it's incomparable. I think that talk therapy has its value, as I have asserted, but I think that all things considered, compared to what you can get done with high quality hypnotherapy, it's just no contest. What I compare the cost of hypnotherapy to is how much is having this problem costing you? I had a client just earlier today who he listed several things, and I was like, well, we got to pick a place to start. And he had mentioned insomnia. Like, okay, let's start there. So I started doing my digging about, well, how is this a problem for you? How do you know that it's a problem for you? How is it affecting your life? And as he's answering, I'm not giving away all my secrets here, but I got my process of really digging out and bringing out what's under there, what's under there, what's under there. And after we're talking for 10 minutes about that, 15 minutes, getting it all out there, he goes, I didn't even realize how big of a problem this was until we had this conversation. And that's something as serious as I don't sleep at night at all. I mean, the man said that he goes, I lay my head on the pillow at night, I toss and turn, 5 a.m., the sun's up, I get out of bed, I didn't sleep. How much is that? How is that affecting your life? Well, I'm tired all day. I'm unfocused. I have a short fuse. I'm not entirely present. My mind's all over the place. I feel like I'm always just dragging my ass around. I feel like I'm half dead. Wow. What how would you, I know I don't do this with my clients, but we're having this conversation, you and I. Now that we've really understood that problem, what is the cost of that problem? Now, what I'm going to ask you to pay me to solve it for you is peanuts compared to what value you're getting by not having insomnia anymore, by sleeping well at night and waking up feeling refreshed, energized, and excited to start a new day with a fully charged battery that you get to share, being present and engaged with the people you love and doing better at your job.
What's crazy
That
about that? What's crazy about that is that the math, if you look at a problem as something that you're only going to gradually chip away from, and you go chip away at, and you go, well, how much is it going to cost me? Well, if you're gradually chipping away at it, it's going to cost you a lot, and you're not going to get very far. But if you look at it as a problem which you are probably going to solve, or at least resolve to a satisfying extent, then it's suddenly a bargain. It is, and I would say most of the time hypnotherapy is a bargain because of the speed at which it works. It works fast. And, you know, there are exceptions, not in every case, but generally it works fast. And it also depends on the hypnotherapist, I think, as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It depends on the hypnotherapist and it depends on how entangled your problem is with other problems that you might have. So you might need more sessions because you got a big knot of shit going on. Sorry, people have a lot of complexity to them. Sometimes it's as simple as we just want to remove this spindle and there you go, it's gone. But sometimes we have to do some unknotting. But even in this case, what 20 sessions is like a lot for one person to have of hypnotherapy. 20 sessions in a talk therapy is nothing. It's like that psychologist is going to tell you we just started. We're
Yeah, we
still
just
getting to
started.
know each other here.
Yeah, I
And
know.
meanwhile, if you're with me for 20 sessions, I'm like, you're a transformed person. You've transformed hand over fist multiple times in 20 sessions of high quality, deep one-on-one hypnotherapy. So yes, the understanding the value of what you're losing by having your problem and how we can good hypnotherapy can give you all of that back and then some. I was trained in one of my more recent trainings. I'm always educating and getting certifications and things. I just like always learning and hearing how different people explain and pick up little gems here and there. And in this most recent training, they said you want to identify problems that people would pay $10,000 to solve, and then you charge much less than that, and you're still making good money.
Yeah, that's a good business model. Yeah, for sure. So basically, we've said hypnotherapy is, first of all, for everyone. It's the people's therapy. Two, that it's actually, contrary to popular opinion, is not expensive because of it's not that the individual session might be, depending on people's prices, might seem expensive, but overall, it's actually, for what you get, it is when it works, an extremely uh, modest, inexpensive system of therapy. Now, I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to mention that there's another kind of client that is interesting, which I call the coaching client. And what's interesting is that people don't necessarily start out as coaching clients. They might come to you with a problem, and then you gradually become their coach. And actually, this is one of the kind of favorite, personally, that I love, favorite kind of situations. Why? Because what's happened is people sometimes come to you because they feel on some level disempowered. I can't do this. This condition is driving me crazy. I feel unable to overcome this particular thing. But as they come to you, they overcome the thing. They overcome the challenge, and now they're at a point where they are entering into their life in a kind of more masterful way, and it's more about overcoming upcoming challenges. And you are basically a performance coach. And this shows another side of hypnotherapy that is very useful for amplifying, improving any kind of performance, from public speaking to sports performance to just getting ahead in your career. So, actually, having a hypnotherapist as, in a sense, a coach, he doesn't have to be in a therapeutic model, because a lot of people are worried, oh, no, I'm not a therapy kind of person,
Mm,
is quite powerful. And
mm.
um, and
Sure. That's why I like having the NLP tools in my toolbox as well, because I will say that it's very rare, but occasionally I will attract a client who says they want hypnotherapy, and I'm assessing that I'm not helping this person as much as I would like to be. They're not realizing that because I'm in here in my mind and I'm comparing to what I know I can do for people and do for people. And they're like, whoa, and I want that for every single person who's in front of me. So when somebody's getting like, I can see like they're getting something, but it's not. I'm like, okay, hypnosis may not be the best way to get at this person's problems. I want to bring them back to their conscious mind in a light state of trance. Maybe open your eyes, close your eyes, open your eyes, close your eyes. Do some NLP where we're still working at the level of the subconscious and the mechanisms of mind, but more I feel I don't know how would you describe NLP as distinct from hypnotherapeutic protocols?
It is so strange because no one successfully ever describes NLP well, I find. It just can't be done. But I often would say that hypnosis is the process, while NLP is often the programming language and coding. But that an NLP person would say, no, that's you're overly limiting NLP. But I think that's how you often use it, where you would take an NLP principle and then you would use it within hypnotherapy. And so that's but NLP is often seen as its own thing. It doesn't need sometimes doesn't need hypnosis, but
Mm.
NLP and hypnosis
That's
go
true.
together very
That's
well.
true. Yeah, and that's what my point was. As you're saying, often we find that we're doing coaching work, and as a coach, I might slide in, "Hey, let's do this real fast. Open your eyes, close your eyes," in a coaching session, rather than now I'm doing an induction, relax completely, melt away, enter that state, et cetera, et cetera. But it's interesting because here's where I see that it's nice that we have such different menus and preferences for our audience. My favorite client is not the peak performance client. I'll help people with that, and I have, and I do, and I enjoy it fine. But I just love helping people. Like, my favorite thing as a hypnotherapist is when there's a big man crying in front of me. I
Making
I I
that could be
love
your
it.
slogan, making big men cry.
Making big men cry and having them thank me for it profusely.
Yes.
Mhm. That breakthrough of like, this has been repressed for so long and it's finally getting released. And I'm for the first time in 30, 40, 50, 60 years feeling space inside of my being where I was just crammed with this dense, sharp, painful thing I couldn't even bear to acknowledge existed and just been a thorn in my side my whole life. And now it's just gone. And there's a space there. And then that's when I'm like, and what would you like to put there instead? What would you like to feel instead? What are the goals of this session? Now you feel great. Your confidence is high, whatever the person identifies their goal is. For me, that's so much more rewarding and exciting, and it just lights me up. And the peak performance client that you enjoy working with more, I'm like, great, I'll help this person. I still not enjoying it, but I'm not like, let's get in there. Let's get in there and make that golf swing 5% better.
Yeah. Well, it just shows that there's a vast diversity of applications. So just because we're running out of time, maybe we want to
Yeah.
say, I think our general point here, and we should say this too, is that by saying what kind of people do hypnotherapy, we're kind of implying that there's something special. Well, there is something special about people who do hypnotherapy. They are people who decide to take stock and do something about some situation in their lives. But it really, the answer is everyone. Everyone benefits from hypnotherapy, although there's a popular perception that some people don't. It is true, we've mentioned this before on this podcast, it is true that some people who are not good at going into trance, let's say, or not as good, might experience slower results. But with a good hypnotherapist, you still get results. Things still happen. Just it does help to deepen trance. Um, and it's not for everything. There's some things where trance has no impact. So you may want to. So when I was going to say there's no excuse not to do it, which I can say, of course, there's an excuse not you don't have to do it, but there is no reason, evidence-based reason to feel like, oh, I'm the kind of person who can't benefit, because it addresses problems, dilemmas, the kind of challenging parts of life, and it addresses improving performance, ability, and abundance. So that's why it is for everyone, potentially.
Hypnotherapy is a therapy for the people.
For the people. For the
Yet
people.
some people opt themselves out, and that's fine. Some people don't want to do hypnotherapy because they just don't.
You know what?
That's fine. The
They
people
say,
who do, when you're ready to do it and you want to do it, you're going to get results. Nobody's going to drag you in and say, you've got to try this. You
I'm the
don't
kind
want it,
of
you won't have
person,
it.
I'm the kind of person who would not have done hypnotherapy. It's just like a series of things in life get you there by, and that's actually the most important thing. I forgot to mention that the other kind of people who do hypnotherapy are the people who never thought they would do it, never planned to
Mhm.
do it, were not interested in it, but they just arrived at a particular situation in life where that it was there. Either someone told them go see this person, or you saw a name or you saw a video and you're like, oh, and that's what happened to me. I was never a person who thought, oh, I'm going to try hypnotherapy. No, I just had a problem. And then I won't go into detail, but then the solution just appeared, or the possible solution. I tried it and it worked. It worked to my surprise. And it worked really quickly. It worked in real time. So, uh,
Yeah. This is one of the cool things about how our field is growing is because when you choose to work with a well-trained, highly qualified professional hypnotherapist and you get that moment where it's like, whoa, this can work this well, this fast, you just naturally become an ambassador. It's like you got to tell everybody you know? And then somebody who's that I never thought I would, but I heard my friends say that, he had insomnia for 20 years and now he's sleeping like a baby. I might want to go book a session with that woman. She sounds
yeah,
like
that
maybe I
woman.
could get some benefit out of that. And
Yeah.
again, that first quality that I identified in our call today was open-mindedness. The one thing that everybody who comes to me has in common is that they have an openness to try something that they've never tried before and a willingness to go into their own mind a little more deeply or a lot more deeply than they've ever gone in before.
I think you're right. I think that that also speaks to the fact that hypnotherapy, to a certain extent, is self-directed, meaning you've decided to do something, you're taking stock, you're doing something with your life, and the hypnotherapist is not going to turn you into a different person, but together with them, they are guiding you and helping you and providing tools and systems that get you where you want to go, often with the application of your own insight and wisdom. So it is special that way, I think, in that it can be very self-directed and you have control. You are in the driver's seat. Um, it depends on the I think it depends a bit on the hypnotherapist, but generally I think that can be the way it is.
I always want my client to feel empowered to take decisions or to, it's rare that I'll actually say this in the pre-talk because I don't intuitively find it necessary, but sometimes if someone seems a little bit like a little, okay, I'm going to go for it, but I will explicitly say, if I ask you a question you don't want to answer, you don't have to at all. You can just think of the answer and say, okay, I know what it is, and I will just move on from there. Or you can get up, you can stop the session at any time you wish. You are not in my control at all. You are just entering a state of mind where I'm here to guide you through a process within your own mind. And I'm here to guide you to the best of my ability to get you to your goal. If you're uncomfortable with anything, we don't do it. It's as simple as that. You're in charge.
You're in charge. Um, so with that, um, this has been, I should explain, this has been the Staying Sane podcast with Cassandra McLean, hypnotherapist, Albert Nurnberg, hypnotherapist. We've been talking about why people, what kind of people do hypnotherapy. Our answer is actually everyone, but there are types of people that are kind of like really jump in. But it is the people's therapy, hypnotherapy, because it is fast, effective, and largely inexpensive by comparison to some other things that are out there. Compared to having a problem and it not going away, for sure.
Yeah, it could
So
cost you your life, or you could just pay a few hundred or $1,000 and resolve it. What do you want to
yeah,
pay with? Your life or the cash in your bank account?
yeah. On that note,
On
okay.
that note, you can find our booking links below in the description. I am
Right,
at hypnotherapy.now.
right.
Hypnotherapy.now. You can type it into your search bar, press enter, and that will lead you right here, right now.
Hypnotherapy.now.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody. This has been fun.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.